What's up, guys? Welcome to the third episode of the POKEHOUR podcast. Today, I have a good friend with me. It's Pickle Dill.
Hey,
He's
dinner.
closing. He's closing in on 1,000 subscribers. So let's just get him to 1,000 as soon as possible, so we can get the 1K special video sooner than
Thanks.
we expected. And today we have a very special edition of this episode because we will not only be talking to him about his upcoming projects and just what made him start doing Pokemon What Ifs, but we will also be reviewing the Pokédex of the Legend Arceus. And Picardil here, I believe you have started playing the game, so you can give us an insight on how the game is.
Yep, I'm about 3 hours in at the moment because, instead of sleeping like a reasonable human, I stayed up till midnight and played for a couple of hours. Yeah,
That's
yeah,
awesome.
yeah, but yeah, it's a lot of fun. I'm only about 3 hours in. I'm about to face, the first Warden Pokemon, so that should be really interesting seeing how the boss mechanic works. Yeah, I'm really enjoying it. It's completely different from any other Pokemon game. If I was to liken it to anyone, it probably feels the most like the Mystery Dungeon series, surprisingly.
Hmm. So which starter did you pick?
I went with Rowlet because yeah,
All right.
yeah, he's my favorite of the Alola starters. And though I was teetering with Cyndaquil, I was like, no, I like Rowlet. I haven't done a playthrough with him in a few years, so yeah, I just felt Rowlet's going to be a good choice for this one.
Yeah, for sure. I saw the again like getting ahead of myself, but I saw the final evolution, which was Decidueye, the Hisuian version, and I have to say I kind of like it better than the original one, but at
Yeah,
the same time, they didn't do justice to Typhlosion, so I don't blame you for not picking Cyndaquil at all.
yeah, I completely agree. When I saw the final version of Typhlosion, I was quite disappointed because it just doesn't look as good as the original, does it?
Absolutely not. So without further ado, let's just go right into the Pokédex and see what's what.
Okay, here we go. Okay, here we go. We have all of the Hassuyan Pokemon and the Hassuyan evolutions as listed by Cerebi. They're listed in terms of their national dex order, so that should make things a
Mm,
little easier. Okay, so first we have Hassuyan Growlithe.
you have to click on the name,
Ah,
I think.
okie doke. Let's get up and see whether that can. It's a better image of it. Sorry, my internet's a little bit slow.
That's all good.
You just
I
try
can
my.
hardly I can hardly blame you since I'm making you do all the work here.
It's no problem. Let me just try something. Okay, this might be a little. That might be a little easier. Can you see that
Yeah,
one
there
all
we
right?
go.
As
Yeah,
though I can. Cerebi's being a bit slow, so it'll just be easier to get them up individually. So yeah. So we have Hassuyan Growlithe here with a little image of regular Growlithe right next to it.
mm,
Yeah. So
I
what are
have to
your?
say, I have to say I really like the color composition, if you will. Like there's a little bit deeper shade of orange there, and just the way it covers its eyes is just makes it look like a different species of dog. I'm not really familiar with dogs, but I assume there are some dogs who have their eyes covered with fur. So
Yeah.
in that aspect, I think it looks really good, except for the typing,
Yeah. Fire
rock
Rock.
and fire. That's like too many quadruple weaknesses there. What about
Yeah.
you?
I like it too. I mean, we're getting a little ahead of ourselves, but I probably prefer Hassuian Arcanine to Hassuian Growlithe. But I think it's interesting. I know that it's inspired by some very famous dog statue that I wish I'd remembered the name of. But
Yeah,
yeah, but I know it's definitely got like some deep, significant lore behind it. So I think that's cool. But yeah, I definitely agree with you about the type weaknesses. So yeah, I do like the eye coloring and the little beard thing. Not sure what you'd call that, but I think
Mm,
overall it's a good design. Probably not my favorite Hisuian form, but you know, it's not a bad one. There are definitely worse ones to come.
yeah. So in your books, is it up or down?
I'd probably say up, but smaller, kind of more of a middling. Yeah,
Yeah, I guess it's the same with me. Designs is okay, but just the typing makes it so much. I don't want to say worse, but you know what I mean.
yeah, I definitely know what you mean. So next we have Suian Arcanine. It's not the best image of it, but let me see if I can get a slightly better one up.
I think that was quite alright.
Okay, I can go back to that one then.
Yeah, that's perfect.
That's
I want to say I like it, but for some reason it reminds me of Colossal, and I really don't like it.
that's fair enough.
But
I can see how you'd say that because the coloring is a lot like Colossal.
yeah, I have to say it's a bit better than the Hisuian Growlithe, but at the same time, it's when we expected something, some variant or evolution for Arcanine, we our expectations were much higher.
That's true.
So in that,
Definitely.
yeah, so in that aspect, I have to say it's also up, but I guess just in the borderline of going down. But
Yeah.
but I will have to give it an up. What about you?
I'd probably give it a bit higher of an up than you because I'm a big fan of classic Arcanine, and I think that it's kept some of the best things. Like I think it still has that very striking regal face that earns it the title of the legendary Pokemon back in the day. But
Yeah.
yeah, the typing definitely hurts it. I'd probably still take regular Arcanine over it. So a little higher up than Hasuian Growlithe, but still lower end of up for me. So
Sure.
next we have Hasuian Voltorb, yeah?
Yeah.
Okie doke. Suian Voltorb.
All right. So I have to say that design wise, it does not look any special to me, to be
Yeah,
honest. I mean, I understand that because Voltron is based on the modern Pokeball that tried to base it on the Legends Arceus Pokeball. But, and don't get me wrong, I really like its typing. Like Electric Grass is like one of my favorite typings ever. But for
that,
some reason, it does not resemble a grass type at all.
no.
So I don't know.
I, it's interesting because it's got the very thick brow, which that's an interesting choice to make it a bit different. I think I agree with you. The typing's definitely a plus, and I see what they're trying to do. But for me, I think I don't know something about its eyes have lost its menace. Like when you look at it compared to regular Voltorb looks like it wants to kill you for fun, while this thing is like kind of vacant in its expression.
Yeah.
So for me, I probably got to give it a down, not a heavy down, but still probably a down for me.
Yeah, it's the same for me. I think they tried to make it look happy, but for some reason it looks kind of creepy,
Yeah,
you know.
I'd agree. There's something just not quite right. So next up, we have Electrode. Let's see if I can
Okay, Electrode.
see
Mm,
if this image actually loads.
you
Yeah,
opened it on Twitter.
yeah. You can see this one.
Yeah. All right. So
Here we go. This all right?
yeah,
Yes, yeah. So we have Suian Electrode here. What are your thoughts on it?
uh, I have to say it's definitely better than the wardrobe for sure. It
Yeah,
has some uncanny resemblance to the Electrode because that original Electrode has like a menacing smile on its face, and this just looks pissed off for some reason.
yeah. I think it's
But
frown in the
yeah, but
eyes.
at the same time, I still don't see any resemblance to the grass type. So I will give it an up. But again, I like the typing, but you have to have something that kind of resembles the typing.
Yeah.
Maybe the white portion of Voltron and Electrode represents wood, so
I,
maybe that's what they're implying on. But you have to give it an up, but again, slight up.
yeah, I'd probably agree. Slight up for me, around on par with Growlithe. My biggest disappointment is a lot of people were speculating that the big heavy brow on Voltorb was going to become a mustache. On Electrode, it flips upside down. And
Oh
yeah,
yeah,
I wish it could have had a mustache because,
yeah, that would have been like that would have been really awesome if they did that.
yeah, that's so it probably gets an up, but it loses some points for missed opportunity in my books.
Now that you have said it, I can't really unsee it. It
Yeah,
just embedded into my brain.
yeah, me too. Why don't you have a mustache, Electrode?
Yeah.
Why don't you have a mustache?
Maybe you
Okay.
could give him some tip on growing one. You have a pretty
Yeah,
good mustache yourself.
thanks. Yours is good too. Okay, next we
All right.
have the sad
Next, we
one.
have the disappointment of all disappointments.
Yes, Typhlosion. Poor,
Oh my God! Did you
poor
see that?
Typhlosion.
It had it had a piece of blunt in its mouth.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, that does explain its facial expression a little bit and its kind of
Yeah.
droopy ears. Yeah, but
Oh
sadly,
my God.
I think we both know how we're going to rate Hassuian Typhlosion. Yeah,
Uh, I don't know. Let's just say, first of all, it does not have the fire thing. The
yeah,
whole thing by because of which there was so much drama. Yeah, there you go. Is this official?
yeah. I think that's official. I think that's its fire, or it's like a ghostly purplish sort of fire for the ghost type.
Okay. For some reason, it reminds me of Beerus, like the Dragon Ball Z character
Yeah,
Beerus.
I can definitely see what you mean in terms of a purple aura and a lazy cat-like
Yeah,
sort of face. Yeah, I can.
yeah, and the circular things on its chest
Yeah, that's true.
reminds me of
Because
his attire.
yeah, yeah, I can see it now that you say it. Yeah, definitely sort of Beerus vibes coming off, Hisuian Typhlosion.
Yeah, but for some reason it looks like really depressed.
Yeah,
And I understand if they're trying to do it because of the ghost typing, but again, man, just the same thing with Arcanine. Like we
yeah,
expected so much more from Typhlosion, a variant of Typhlosion, and they just I think they blew it in this one.
yeah, I agree.
Again,
It's yeah, disappointing because if this had turned out better, I might have swapped over to Cyndaquil. But
yeah,
yeah,
just
they
the
just
eyes, I think.
yeah. I mean, and if someone else likes Hisuian Typhlosion, that's great for them. But
Yeah,
I guess for
sure.
us, it's just a little bit disappointing.
Yeah. So middle down, I think.
Okay,
Not
next,
heavy, not light.
yeah, I'd probably give it middle down because there are one or two that get hard downs from me down the line. So yeah, this one's probably a middle down.
Yeah.
And next up we have Suian Quillfish, an unexpected surprise.
Mm,
Yeah, what do you
I
think
have
of?
to say, I have to say, I like it for some
Yeah,
reason.
I mean,
It looks fitting counterpart to the regular quillfish, and it also, again, I don't think it's fair to say that just because it has an evolution, I will give it an up. But even in its own, I think it looks really great.
yeah, I really like the sort of shadows under its eyes and the tiny little pupils. They make it look deadly because it's meant to be based off a sea mine, and now this does look like something that would blow up and kill you compared to past quillfish, which looked like maybe it would frown at you a little bit.
Yeah. What's the typing here? Dark
I
poison.
yeah, dark poison is Suian Quillfish.
So that leaves just one weakness, which is ground.
Yeah, I mean that's I suppose if it's meant to be based on a sea mine, then yeah, that's probably pretty appropriate. So
Yeah. I
I'd
think
give
it definitely would have some water moves to give it the coverage it needs.
I'd say so. That would be smart. I haven't seen its move set yet. because I haven't encountered one, but I imagine that it will be, in the end, a pretty good one. I'd probably give it, yeah, solid up.
Same for me.
So next we have Hassuian Sneasel. What's your thought on that?
Uh, Design looks great, but I think that they could have done a bit. Uh, like it just looks like Sneasel with the different color composition for some reason. Like there is no extra features. Like even though we criticized the crap out of Voltron, it had like the brows, the different eyes, but Sneasel looks just the same with different color composition. And don't get me wrong, I like the color composition, but it just looks the same.
So its typing is fighting and poison, which is interesting because I
Great.
don't see any sort of fighting signs to it. If it had kept icing as
Mm.
one of its types and been ice poison, I probably would have been more on board. I mean, I think that this would have made a lot more sense as regular Sneasel as an ice type because then it could blend in with the snow. Because I think the
Mm.
white really suits it. And I think they've even, the bit on its ear is actually one of my favorite colors. Lilac is probably my favorite color, and that earpiece is pretty close. So I've got a soft spot for that. But yeah, I definitely see what you mean in terms of they really did just, do a, Photoshop recolor of Sneasel and said it was a new Pokemon.
Yeah, if they had to give it the fighting type again, which I definitely agree on because I think that Sneasel as a fighting type just is badass in its own way. But if you are going to give it a fighting type, like just give him some features that resemble a fighting type because you
Yeah.
did it with the poison and the purple shading looks absolutely awesome. But
Oh, yeah.
why not just make it ice poison if you're
Exactly.
going
Yeah.
to do that?
I think if it was this design, Ice Poison, it would have probably been my favorite or probably second favorite Hasuian form. But by doing fighting, it just feels like they've missed a bit of an opportunity to show off that
Well,
typing.
it looks more psychic poison to me
Yeah, I could
than
see that
fighting.
with the gem
Yeah.
thing on its head and on its chest. Yeah, I could definitely see it as a psychic poison. That would have been cool.
Mm.
So, yeah,
It's kind of ironic because the regular Sneasel was an absolutely menace for the psychic types, and you got this Sneasel, which gets absolutely one-shotted by any psychic type Pokemon because of its typing. So I
yeah.
like how they did the contrary thing there, but it gets an up, but again, could have done better.
Yeah, I'd agree. Up, but loses some points for missed opportunity, like Electrode.
Yeah,
So after that, we have the Suian Samurott. Do you mind if I go first with this one? Because I have strong opinions
sure.
on Hassuian Samurott. Probably going to make some enemies, but it is one of my big lows. You know, I you know, I feel that it's underdesigned in a way. They didn't utilize the sort of theme they're going for in terms of a Meiji era style thing. It's just
Yeah.
Samurott with a different, bit of armor and kind of jagged horn for the dark type. I was really hoping we might have gotten something maybe bipedal or a bit more armored. Could have drawn from something like Sand Slash for inspiration. So, yeah,
Mm.
I'm disappointed. It just looks like it's skinny, kind of dirty Samurott. So yeah, it's got a big down. It's my second lowest ranked of all the Hisuian forms for me.
Yeah, I mean, as much as I would like to pretend that I like this form because of the color scheming with the red and black, but like, why didn't they change the blue and white thing of its main body? It's like they just changed the color of its armor, and we are supposed to say, yeah, it's a dark type.
Exactly. I mean, if
Like,
if like you'd said, if they'd made the main body black and red as well, it would have at least felt like a
yeah,
very different Pokemon.
exactly. It just looks like an imposter of the original Samurott to me.
Yeah, I agree. So big downs for me. And I mean, if someone
Yeah,
else likes it, good for them. I'm glad, every Pokemon is someone's favorite Pokemon. But for me, I
yeah.
was very disappointed when I saw this.
Yeah, again, and anyone watching this is just like our opinions.
Yeah,
If you like the
absolutely.
Pokemon, it's absolutely up to you. Like it's just we expressing our opinion on the Pokédex. We are not hating on it. I think it's a great game.
Oh
So
yeah,
if you're watching this and you like Samurai, please don't get triggered.
I mean, I'm loving the game. I think it's
I
interesting
mean,
because
if they wanted to make it the like ice or like water dark, like why not go all out and just change the composition of its body as well?
I
Like
agree.
it looks half-assed, to be honest.
Yeah, like I mean, here's like some fan art of Hasuian Samurott. That would have been,
Oh wow, that's
yeah.
absolutely awesome.
If we got something like that where it's in this, it's bipedal and it's got like a sword. I'll send you the link to that so you can include it in the video if you want. I think
Yeah,
it
for sure.
yeah, okay, I shall do that right now. Yeah, I think it should be like if it had been something like that, I probably would have picked Samurott.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah, I
It's
think
like there are just some mons which looks good in their feral forms, and there are just some that looks good in bipedal. And
yeah,
for some reason, the company decides to swap them. For example, Incineroar, I don't know. Like I love the design of Incineroar, but come on, like it's a tiger. It has to be on all fours, right?
yeah. I
Then
mean,
they make it like standing upwards, and it just looks it looks great, but at the same time, it could have been so much better.
yeah,
And then they literally have a samurai in Samurott. They have a chance to give it an ancient theme of some sorts, and then they do this like the black and red thing. Body
yeah,
remains the same, just makes it look like an imposter.
yeah. I agree. Yeah, very disappointed by Samurott. So yeah, I
Yeah,
think we
big
can
down from me as well.
yeah, big down and so sad because starters are always generally so amazing that to see this huge missed opportunity was saddening. Next up, Lilligant, Hisuian Lilligant.
Hey,
What are your thoughts on
mm,
Hisuian Lilligant?
yeah, it's just looks kind of generic to me.
Yeah,
Again, it has the whole dancing vibe to it, so I guess. But then again, so did the original Lilligant.
it's true. I mean, I love the
Uh,
original Lilligant. It's one of my favorite Unova Pokemon. I think
yeah,
it's
for
got a
sure.
really cool design. I mean, I don't mind this, but I'm a little disappointed because
Mm.
it feels almost like a rip-off Lee Vanny or a rip-off Curlier.
Yeah,
I just
I guess this is what you get if you go to the Pokemon Fusion website and you combine Livani and Lilligant. This is exactly what you will get.
yeah, I think you're exactly right. So I mean, it's not a bad Pokemon, but I'd say worse than the original, which is disappointing.
Yeah, it's slide down not because the design is bad, but it just resembles the original too much for some reason. And yeah, I understand what they're trying to do. Like the design looks good. You see that like its legs resemble the roots of a tree.
Yeah,
It even has the color scheming going on, but and it looks weird. It looks just too similar to the Livani.
yeah. So
I
it's
don't know.
just yeah,
Slide down.
bit yeah, slight down. I'd probably agree with you there. Next up, now this people are probably a little saddened by hearing us seemingly be disappointed in so many. So here's one that I at least am going to be giving big ups to right off the bat, and that's Hasuian Zoroa.
Just look at that. It's like this is what we're talking about. This is
Exactly.
the kind of stuff that like you expect when they announce that they are going to be regional variants. This is just perfection in its finest.
Oh yeah, I mean, I would probably say the Hasuian Zoroark line are probably my favorite of the Hasuian forms. The only thing that could rival it's maybe Decidueye for me, but yeah, I think this is a great version. I love it. I love its evolution. I think this was 10 out of 10 big ups.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Even the typing, it's like normal and ghost.
yeah,
And
that
again, I
is.
know that people are going to say that we are being hypocritical because we said that the Sneasel does not resemble its fighting typing. But again, like, you have to understand that Sneasel just looks the same as the original one, just with different composition scheme. This looks
It
different.
it does. I mean, I love the sort of ethereal ribbons which make it feel really ghostly. And I mean, you could say that the sort of white coloring could be to represent the normalness, or just how
Yeah,
most ghosts and things are often depicted as like white sheets. So yeah, I think
yeah, and the original Zero, what
Zora.
what do you call it? Yeah. They also had the red color, so that
Yeah,
doesn't mean that they must be fire type. Again, so color does not always represents the typing, but this looks the absolute contrast of the original one, but different at the same time.
yeah,
I
absolutely.
think
That's what
it
I
looks
was.
great.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing, that the way that it does look like it takes the original and then it contrasts it shows a lot of love and care was put into this design. So yeah, big
Yeah,
ups for this one. And moving straight onto its evolution, we have the Suian Zoroark, which I mean, I'm just going to say it. I feel much the same. I think it's really well designed. I love the weird sort of like red, lesions almost on its arms and legs, because that makes it look like something undead. You know, I, and then all the scraggy red. It really gives the whole ghost aesthetic. Just it takes it and it does it well. Yeah, big ups for me from both Zoroa and Zoroark.
absolutely. It just looks like it- again, the contrast here is absolutely amazing because the original Zoroark, as you can see there at
Yeah,
the bottom left, it has its hair tied behind its head, and you see the variant of this Zoroark. It just opens its hair up, so it's just flowing into the wind. It looks
yeah.
amazing.
Oh yeah, I think it is great, and just the ghostly trails and the way it goes to like the blood red coloring, and I even love the yellow eyes. Because there's something just haunting about those yellow eyes in contrast to the pale blue of the original.
Yeah.
You just so yeah, the Suian Zoroark, big highest ups.
So far, the highest top of the Pokédex.
Oh yeah, and next we have Hasuyan Braviary. What are your thoughts on Hasuyan Braviary?
Uh, I guess it's okayish, to be honest. Uh, I mean, it looks good. Uh, Again, a bit too similar to the original Braviary, but the design pattern is okay. Unlike Sneasel, it actually reflects on its typing due
Yeah,
to being a psychic flying, and it retains the same amount of like the royalty and the majestic feeling that the original Braviary had, and it is different at the same time. So I guess it's a slight up for me.
I'd probably rate it a little bit higher because I really liked it from the moment I first saw it. I always had a feeling that one was going to make its way onto my team because I really like original Braviary, but there's something primal about this one, and like its wild hair and the way that on its psychic purple bit it has fake eyes to try and make it look like a more intimidating predator, and the whole black and white color scheme would make it really effective if it was flying over snow. So yeah, I've got a big ups for Hassuyan Braviary. Not quite as high
Oh
as
yeah,
Zoro and Zoroark, but I still really like Hassuyan Braviary.
I actually didn't notice it that way, that its fall size gives it some sort of an intimidation factor for its prey. So I guess, yeah, I will raise my bar slightly up as well.
Because yeah, here's some art with it with the head on with those eyes, particularly if they're
Yeah,
glowing. I think that would be really terrifying if it's coming at you as a predator. So yeah, I've got.
especially during the night.
Oh yeah, because those would that would flare out of the darkness, and because it has its black underside, you'd barely be able to see it until it was on top of you. See, I
I think
think,
the visual of Hassuyan Braviary flying along with the main character looks absolutely amazing. I even used it in my video.
oh yeah, I mean, I can't wait to fly with it. I think that'll be so much fun. See, yeah, big ups, big excited for when I can meet a Hasuyan Braviary. And next up, a surprise one that I didn't expect them to give this one a Hisuian form. Not sure
Me
about you,
neither.
Sliggoo.
Let's just review two of them at the same time here.
Yeah, because it's got it and it's got Gudra. Because they've both got that big, thick, metallic, sort of like liquid metal shell to symbolize it as a steel type now. Yeah,
Mm,
yeah. What are your
why
thoughts
don't
on
you
it?
go first on this one?
Okay, I really like it, particularly Sliggoo, because I always thought Sliggoo was a bit of a misstep in the evolutionary line. Because I love Goomy, I like Gudra, but I was always like, Sliggoo, you're a stop I have to make on the way. So I would often basically get my Goomy as close to Gudra as I could, so I could spend the minimum amount of time as a Sliggoo. But this one with the coil pattern looking almost like it's got a long body, I think it's a good improvement. And Dragon Steel as a typing, I think that's pretty neat because now it can stand up to fairies. So yeah, I like it, and I like Gudra as well. I don't like the change to Gudra as much as I like the change to Sliggoo, but I like that big tail, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what it can do. I'm probably going to add one of them to my team as well if I can find it.
Mm, okay, so I think that what they're trying to do here is that they're trying to move away from the slug line, because I think the original Gudra line represents slug more than it does to snails,
Yeah,
and they're trying to move exclusively to the snail line. So the Sligo gets an big up for me because I think it looks innovative. The Gudra will get slight up because if you're going to make it a snail, why make it like bipedal, right? Just
yeah,
make it go on all fours and it would look great.
yeah. I'd agree with
Just a
that. I
big,
mean, imagine if
yeah,
it was bipedal, but then it had like a big, long dragon tail with like gooey spikes on it that could be used for ranged attacks. I think that would
yeah,
be.
that could have been.
Yeah, so I'd agree with you there. Big ups for Sliggoo, moderate ups for Gudra.
The typing is great.
Oh yeah, the typing is super exciting.
Resists almost half the attacks.
Yes, I think that's a really good one. Here we go. Hasuian Avalug. You remember how I said that Samurott was the second lowest, in my
Yeah,
opinion? Well,
yeah.
I think it's time we talk about the lowest. I've never really liked Avalug as a Pokemon, and like I don't hate it, but it's one I often forget about, and I've never actually used in our team. And then this one where it's just slightly rockier with like a dirty frost beard, I'm like, if you're going to do something, could have done more, could have made it, like here's a fan art where it's fully stone and it's a rock type. I probably would have preferred that, or here's one where it's kind of like dirt, or even this one where it's got like
It looks
mountainous
like
peaks.
magma rocks.
Yeah, I mean, I think that could have been really interesting. In comparison, this is just a
Yeah,
recolor that makes it look worse. So, yeah, my
and
lowest
the
low.
dirty, yeah, and the dirty frost thing you mentioned just looks out of the place.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, my lowest low has got to go to Hasuian Avalug.
Absolutely, right next to Samarot.
Yeah, right next to Samurott. But thankfully, my highest high is coming up. It's the last of the Hisuian forms that isn't an evolution. It's we've referenced it in the past, but now we get to
Mm,
talk about it, and that's Suian Decidueye.
look at that! Wow.
Yeah, it looks so good. It looks like a samurai. It's the crest of its feathers look like that traditional straw hat, which I mean, And then it's got the wings that are like a cloak, and its tail almost looks like a scabbard coming out the side. Like, I just think, top-notch design, probably my highest high. Love Hassuian Decidueye. Very glad I picked Rowlet.
It just reminds me of an anime character. I think the ghost of, I don't know. There was just an anime character which wore like the straw hat,
Yeah,
not One Piece, like not the character from One Piece. It was the ghost of something. I can't remember. I will edit it in the video.
yeah,
And it has the autumn feeling to it, like
yeah,
the
it
red
does.
leaves.
Yeah, that's a
It
really
looks so
good
good.
point. I hadn't even considered that, but yeah, the coloring, yeah, like you said, has an autumn feel, which, seeing as how Hasui is so much colder than, Alola, it makes sense that, yeah, the leaves wouldn't be all green and verdant. So,
Yeah,
and, that also goes with like the coloring of an owl, being like brown and stuff. So, yeah,
yeah.
I didn't even
And
see
in the
that.
head, on the top of its head, I think that's Daisy, the Daisy flower, and it makes it look even better.
Yeah, it does. So, yeah, my highest high has to go to Hasuian Decidueye. And even, I know we haven't really talked about shinies, but the fact that shiny uses the original color scheme is a nice touch.
And let's just hope that they don't make this like an exclusive feature in the Pokemon Showdown games, because again, I will not get to play this game for like 4 years or so until I get a job, and so I can't really play the game right now, so I have to do with Showdown. And what
Yeah,
they do in Showdown is like, you know how the Galarian legendary birds' shiny form are just their original version?
I didn't, but that's cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah. So Zapdos looks, the Galarian Zapdos shiny version looks just like the original version, the same color scheme. Like
Okay.
if you imagine Galarian Moltres in the original uh, color scheme,
Oh,
look
yeah,
at that.
I see it. Yeah, that is, really interesting. I love when they do that as a bit of a callback. So here's the Yeah, I see what you mean. They have the colors of the originals.
Look at that.
Yeah, that
If you
is.
place a shiny Galarian Moltres and the original Moltres, you couldn't even tell the difference between them.
Yeah,
It looks so great. Look at that.
yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah, that would be very hard to tell apart. But
Yeah,
yes,
but the thing is that they don't let us use the shiny forms in Pokemon Showdown for some reason. Like they
damn.
say that this is only available through an event. Again, I know that they have to give some leverage to the creators, but at the same time, I mean, come on, they have
Yeah,
to let us use it.
and yeah, that is a shame. And so now we have the two Hisuian evolutions, Sneezler and Overquill. Okay, so first we have Sneezler. Sorry, Sneezler.
I think they missed it.
Yeah, here we go.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Here's an image of Sneezler. What are your thoughts on it?
Uh, Apart from the name, I think the design looks actually great. I love how they changed the claws to brown so as
Yeah,
to somewhat resemble it being a fighting type, and it has all the some features, some resemblance to Mienshao.
yeah, I see
Maybe
it now
not
that
in
you
the design,
mentioned.
but looks slick, and yeah, it gets enough for me. But the name is just what is a Sneasler? Looks
Yeah, I mean,
sounds weird.
yeah, there's something a bit off about the way that, yeah. I mean, I'm probably going to give it up, but only a slight up because, I like the like ear tail thing. So it's like the feather is grown, and as you said, the claws being longer and darker. I think that's cool, but just feels a little bit lazy to me in the sense that it is just a taller Sneasel. It is a more sneezely Sneasel, I guess. That's where it gets the name Sneasler. It is. Yeah, so I'm still a bit disappointed because, I'd still take Weavile over it. So I'm just like,
Yeah, for
up,
sure.
but small up. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
just Borderland down, I think.
yeah,
But
I'd
again,
agree.
up.
Up, but,
People are going to be really mad at us. I have a
Just
feeling.
I think so. But just remember, we loved Hassuian Zoroark and we love Hassuian Decidueye. So we're not all negative. Oh, oh my! It seems we missed a couple. Some that didn't even see.
I think we missed Ursaluna.
Yeah, we missed Ursaluna and Basculegion.
Okay,
People
we
didn't
will
even.
talk about those after this one.
So first we have
Okay, let's
Overquill.
just review all three of them here at the same time.
Here we go. Yeah, here's an image that has all of them and also Sneezler.
Yeah. Okay, so let's start off with Overquill. What are your thoughts on it?
I like it. I feel like it's the natural evolution of, Suian Quillfish. It looks angry, it looks big. I love the fact that its tail has a little Q on it. It's a small detail, but I just like it. Even the name is a good pun, Overquill. So yeah,
Mm.
I'd give it moderate ups. It's not, going to be my favorite new Hassuyan form, but I do like it. I think it took what Hassuyan Quillfish did well and, then took it another step further, which is good.
Yeah, yeah. I also like it. It just resembles a sea mine, which is supposed to,
Yeah.
and I think the typing is great.
Yeah, I think
I
it's
think Quillfish deserved an evolution after being
absolutely.
such a great Pokemon for so long. So again, if you don't mind, I would like to go first on the Ursa Luna.
Sure, by all means.
Yeah, this will get like again like I love the Decidueye, but for personal reason, for personal bias because I loved Ursaring, using Ursaring, and then you get a feral form of Ursaring, evolution of Ursaring. That's it will get the biggest stuff for me because it just looks like a lazy bear, and it has all the features of the original Ursaring. It has the intimidation factor, but it again it when you have a Pokemon like Ursaring, which looks like a final form in itself, it's
Yeah.
really difficult to make a final form. And I think that kudos to the Pokemon company that definitely did a hell of a job in creating the final form, which actually looks like its evolution. And on top of it, if you check its stats, I mean, just look at its stats, it's just off the roof. I will
Okay.
add a picture of the stats in the slides. Just look at the stats.
So Luna's stats. Let's take a squiz. Wow, those are crazy. So bulky, such good attack, good defense, and even pretty good special
Decent special
defense.
defense.
Yeah.
I mean, this is like again, people are going to be mad. This is the better version of Snorlax. I mean, you can't change my mind, and I'm going to give you a tip that I used on my regular wrestling competitively. You can even use it in playthrough games. If you manage to get your hands on a flame orb and you have an Ursaluna which has the guts ability, make it hold the flame orb and then use facade on top of it. It will
Hmm,
absolutely destroy everything in its sight. I'm telling you.
that would be powerful. It's interesting
And the only
because
shortcomings that the original wrestling had because it was not as bulky. Again, this has it all covered. It has solid defense, moderate special defense, and on top of it, 113 base HP. That's like
yeah.
overkill at this point. So this will definitely be my biggest up.
Okay, I like it as well. Probably not as high as a big up as you. I agree. It's got a cool, lazy sort of aesthetic. I love the fact that it's got the moon and then its eyebrows are clouds. Passing over the moon. Even those, like I'm not sure what you'd call them, like the little rectangles coming out of its back. I think are cool because they look like the ones on Ursaring's shoulder. So I think yeah, so I do like it. It's moderate ups for me. Probably the only thing that and this is just a personal preference. I would have preferred it to be a branch evolution alongside Ursaring rather than a next
Mm.
step because, as you said, Ursaring feels like a final form, and it almost looks like if you did it that way, you'd have Ursaring would be the attack and Ursaluna would be the defense, almost like Hitmonlee and Hitmonchan. So I do like it.
Mm.
That's probably just my only criticism. It's not even of the Pokemon; it's just of the choice. So yeah, moderate ups from
Yeah.
me, as you said. highest ups from you.
Yeah, and they also give it the ground typing, so now you get a stab bonus on earthquake.
That's true.
Again,
That
I
is a
think
good
that
thing.
more towards the competitive side. I'm leaning more towards the competitive side than the design, because this thing will be an absolute beast if you can use it well.
Yeah, I bet that it'll be great and competitive. I've never had much luck in competitive, but definitely I can see the value. And if we're able to put it in Pokemon Home and bring it over to Sword and Shield, which I think that's still going to be the main competitive game for a while, then yeah,
Yeah.
I could definitely see it making a splash in the competitive scene. Okay, so after that, we only have two more. We have Suian Basculegion, or I guess just Basculegion, and then I'm not sure what the new
Oh
force
yeah,
of
I
nature
almost
is.
forgot about it.
Yeah, I did forget about it. Yeah, so what are your thoughts on Basculegion?
First of all, the backstory of this Pokemon is absolutely depressing.
Oh yeah, it's basically
Uh,
all its dead brethren have become
oh
a
my God,
big ghost.
that's uh, ever since the released Barraskewda, I kind of felt sorry for Basculin, because Barraskewda comes in, it's like this fish which is going to one hit, one kill, or just this glass cannon representation of a fish, and there's Basculin sitting there. It's like, yeah, been here, done that. So
Yeah,
I kind of felt bad when Barraskewda was stealing the spotlight uh, from Basculin, because Basculin has been around since Gen 3, I think, like
yeah.
for so
Is
long.
it Gen 4, I think? I could be wrong. I don't know.
I am pretty sure that it was in the Emerald games, if I'm
Maybe,
not
yeah.
mistaken.
Either
I
way,
could be wrong, but again,
yeah, who knows?
like it had all the things to be great, but it looked like a pre-evolution, which did
Yeah,
not have a final form,
that's
like
true.
Dunsparce.
Yeah,
So I'm glad that they gave it the final form, not so much with the story. So it gets an up from
it,
design and stats, etc. But the
that
backstory is just depressing at this point.
I'd give it an up as well. I know that it seems that I'm obsessed with mustaches, but I really like the sort of spectral mustache. Not to go back and take another pot shot at you know
Electro,
Samurott, but you know, this
yeah.
is a good sort of Hasuian mustache, and I think it looks cool with the way that its tail transitions into being spectral, because it is all its dead brethren. So yeah, and even the fact that it's kind of the color of chum and fish guts, which is macabre, but still a very appropriate if it's meant to be all the dead basculin coming together.
Hmm.
So yeah, pretty high ups for me. I like
It's
Basculegion.
also a water and ghost type.
That is a good typing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you got Basculegion. You'd say it's an
And then we
up.
go to the anomalies of all anomaly.
Yeah, that's that. It's the Suian Force of Nature. I don't actually know what it's called. I think it's Amorous or something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's pretty forgettable, to be honest. There you go, the first one, first to the left.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, this is great.
What is its name? You know, this is probably going to be a controversial take, but even though it is pretty forgettable, it's probably my favorite of the forces of nature, just because I've never been a big fan of them. I always found them a bit samey and a bit like, with the legendary birds, the legendary dogs, they each feel like they have their own identity. With the
Mm,
forces of nature, they were always just, okay, I am blue genie, I'm orange genie, I'm green genie. And they didn't seem to really, embody their, force of nature. Like Landorus didn't feel particularly like earthy compared to say Thunderous, but at
yeah.
least Amoris, it's taken the love theme and it's running with it. So
Mm.
props to that. Though why it's a turtle in its Theron form, I don't know.
I think in some mythologies, turtle actually represent love and care and coming together. So maybe that.
If that's the case, then that's clever. But yeah, I mean,
But again, if you are going to make it a turtle, like you could have, the legs are too long for it to be a turtle, to be honest.
yeah,
I like its incarnate form. I think it's the best incarnate form out of the all forces of nature,
I'd
but its
agree.
tenant form is worst of all the forces of nature. So it kind of balances it out
I
up for
mean,
me.
I can kind of see it. Like for me, I'd probably still say my least favorite Theron form is Landorus, but
Really?
yeah, I mean that's just a personal thing, but
Mm.
an unpopular opinion, I guess. But still, but yeah, I can definitely see that. Yeah, its Theron form is on the lower end, but its incarnate form, you know, I give ups to.
Yeah,
So
because it's like you said, its incarnate form is different from the other forces of nature, whose incarnate form are like uh, too similar except for the tail. So I
yeah,
like how it has a slightly different vibe to it with the heart thing on its head. So yes, up for me.
yeah, I'd agree. I think we've had very similar sorts of assessments, most of these. And I believe that's all of the Hasuian forms and Hasuian evolutions. If we're missing
Yeah,
any, someone will let us know in the comments.
yeah.
Yeah, but
And once again, all of these are our personal opinions. You are not in like you are not obliged to agree with us. You can always disagree. If you like a Pokemon which we said looks lame, like you can absolutely use it. You know why? Concern yourself with our opinion. So please don't get mad in the comments. We are
also,
not hating on the game. It's a great game.
also,
Designs are wacky.
I just found two more Hasuian forms. One that I can't believe I forgot because it's actually one of my favorites.
Really.
Yeah, we forgot to do Weird Year and Cleavor.
Oh yeah. Oh my god. How did we forget that?
I don't know, but just we were relying too much on Cerebi. Blame Cerebi.
Yeah, blame Celebi.
Yes, totally not us. Yes. So
Yeah.
first, Weird Year. What are your thoughts on it?
Uh, yeah, I think once again like the Decidueye because it's like colder there, so they give it some sort of a reindeer format, and I
Yeah,
think it looks really cool. Just a natural evolution of Stantler, so it gets an up.
yeah. I'd really say you hit the nail on the head there. That yeah, it feels like a very natural progression. That's probably the most natural of any of the Hisuian evolutions. So yeah, that's I'd agree. Big ups for me as well with Weird Year. And I love the name, weird coming from like the old English word that I think meant like magic. So, and like seeing the future. So that makes
Yeah,
sense,
yeah,
for when it gains the psychic type. So, Weird Year is, definitely an up. But I think the one that we really are kicking ourselves for forgetting to mention is Cleavor.
yeah. I'm going to let you go first on this one.
I really like Cleavor. I mean, I love Scizor. Scizzor's probably in my top 10 favorite Johto Pokemon. I've always loved it, probably even in my top 20 favorite Pokemon of all time. But for a pre-steel sort of age, I think that Cleavor was a really good natural progression. Like I love the fact that like the face resembles Scyther. If they'd made this a Hisuian Scyther, I still would have been happy with it. But by having like the beard and the heavier brows, it does feel like a very natural evolution. So yeah, big ups, for Cleaver. It's probably my third favorite Hisuian form after Decidueye and Zoro and Zoroark. So yeah,
Mhm.
very big ups for me with Cleaver. How about you?
I really like how the shape of its claws, if you will, looks like an axe. So they have the lumberjack feel to it.
Yeah,
Uh, it is a rock and bug type. Like the bug, I get it. Uh, Not
yeah,
particularly happy with the rock typing. They could have give it like steel, in the sense that Scizor represents iron and this represents copper.
that's
Both are
true. Yeah,
metals, right?
yeah. If they'd
Uh,
made it
so
of a coppery sheen, then yeah, that could have
yeah,
worked quite
again, I
well.
like it. It's just like the rock typing. Like there are so many Pokemons that I like, like there is Tridentrum, Ramphados, etc., etc.
Yeah.
And then out of nowhere, the rock typing just swoops in and makes it absolutely unusable for me. But again, I think Cleveler might be the exception to that. It looks great, design looks great, stats I assume are really great. So
Oh, yeah. I
yeah,
mean, all these seem to have really good stats. So, yeah,
yeah,
that's yeah. So you'll probably give me an up, maybe not as high as I do because
yeah.
I said, yeah, I love
Moderate
Cleavor.
up for me.
Yeah, that's good. So I think that is, I believe this is all our Hasuian forms. I know this is the third time I've said that, but I think it's right this time.
Yeah.
So if I'm wrong, you can put it in the comments here or yell about it in the comments of one of my videos. I don't know. Yeah, but
Okay. So I think that's a perfect segue for me to ask you about your 1K subscriber special. Again, you don't have to mention what it is because I don't want you to spoil it. So I'm just going to ask you a question and you have to answer it in a yes and no format. Is that okay?
sure, sure thing.
Will it be something related to Legends Arceus?
No, because I'm doing a separate special for Legends Arceus once I've finished the game.
Okay.
Yes,
So will it be related to Ash?
probably. Yes, almost
That's all I needed
certainly.
to know.
Yes,
That's all I needed to know. Uh,
yes.
yeah. So once again, like on a roll with this segue here. One of the stories of yours, which I think goes under the radar, it is what if Ash was a lore keeper? I
Yeah,
think that was it, right? Yeah.
yeah. That's the one with Zinnia. Yeah.
Yeah. So I really like the story. Do you mind telling me where you got the inspiration or the idea from?
It's actually from the fact that I always felt that Zinnia and the Lawkeepers didn't quite get the acknowledgement they deserve. Like I love Zinnia as a sort of tragic villain in the sense that she's working towards the greater good, and she's basically destroying her own soul to do it because she feels that it's the right thing to do. And I think that's a beautiful, really morally complex stance. You can think she's a hero, you can think she's a villain, and either way you're right because she's both. And so
Yeah.
I just think that's a really rich thing to play with. And then I think to put someone like Ash who has such strong convictions in, I think that will create some really interesting consequences down the line. Will he have the heart to become the monster for the sake of the world, or will that be what tears his and Zinnia's friendship apart?
Hmm.
I think that
Yeah.
it's
Yeah. When I started watching that series, I really felt that you were doing justice to the character of Zinnia. And again, I think she's a really underrated character. So the fact that you did that, it's absolutely amazing. And uh, one of your other stories, which I think is not quite as under the radar, I think it's one of the most popular ones in your channel, which is What If Ash Was Brandon's son.
yeah.
So when you started that, was it somehow related to some sort of like the Ash versus Paul rivalry, or was it just based on the fact that Brandon was a character which was kind of underused?
It's actually the fact that I still believe that, if you count Frontier Brains as gym leaders, and I mean, yeah, they're separate things, but they serve a similar sort of function. I still believe that Brandon is the, gym leader, boss, whatever you want to call him, who gave Ash the most challenge and is probably still one of the strongest because, he destroyed Paul. He, in history, destroyed Reggie. I think that's all really interesting that no one other than a rival or an evil team leader has ever really given Ash the same level of challenge that Brandon did. And I find his whole ideology and his whole personality really fascinating. He's an archaeologist. He's someone who studies law and studies ruins, and he works in partnership with these, ancient legendary titans. But other characters might have used them like Tobias did to win leagues and stuff. He's just like, no, I'm going to use these, for study and to help others grow. See, I find Brandon really cool, really fascinating. He's one of my favorite characters, and I thought, hey, wouldn't it be interesting to, explore how Ash would be molded by that, and
Hmm.
who would interact with? Because my first thought was, well, Barry is the son of a frontier brain, so there's a natural sort of, you know, rivalry slash camaraderie there because they would be the only two characters to have that sort of experience.
Hmm.
So that was my sort of inspiration there. Plus, I love the idea of battle frontiers and the fact that no one had covered the Sinnoh one in like any of the anime or any what if
Yeah.
that I know of. I'm like, well, this gives me, free reign to basically think up five new like frontier facilities.
Hmm. Yeah, I completely agree on that. I actually like the first video on my channel was what if Paul challenged the battle frontier, and I had to unfortunately cancel it because like I was putting so many original ideas and effort into it. And you won't really believe it, it was getting like 15 views in like 2 days. So that was absolutely disappointing, and I had to cancel that because I was same thing with the story of Professor Oak. That was also one of my first series that I started. I was using so many original concepts and ideas into it, and it was not really pulling in views. So I think that the thing you did with the Brandon story was absolutely amazing because once again, when I started making the Paul story, that was the I mean, not to the extent that you have, but that was the main idea because Battle Frontier was kind of underused. So I like how you took a character as interesting as Brandon and somehow linked it so perfectly with Ash, which is who is like a interesting character in himself, right?
Yeah.
And there is the whole dynamic with Barry thing that's amazing. And you recently started a brand new story with which is what if Ash was trained by Red. So can you
Yes.
give us a little insight into that as well?
Okay, that one, that was one that, before I did that, you and I were talking about ideas for the 7K special, and that's one that we tossed around. So yeah, that was good. Your advice definitely helped in the making of that. So
You're
that's
welcome.
good. Thank you. Yeah. But yes, so that was yeah. So that one was just going, Red's an interesting character, and I particularly,
Yeah.
love how he's characterized in the Adventures manga. I love Origins. I'm still hoping we're going to get a Gold and Silver Origins someday.
Hmm.
Someday. Someday. Yeah. But either way, yeah, I think Red's really interesting in the fact that he can be so many things to so many people, Some see him as the stoic, brooding type sitting atop Mount Silver. Others see him as excitable like Ash, or now with Sun
Hmm.
and Moon, we have the veteran former champion. I think there's so much you can do with that, and the fact that Ash and Gary are Red and Blue's counterparts. So by putting them literally right next to their counterparts, you can play with how they're different and also, in many ways, look at if they are so similar, what would a 30-year-old Ash be like? What would he have learnt in his journey? And also, by using Red, how is the fact that you're a 10-year-old who had to fight the mob and then became the strongest in the world in the span of like a year? How does that affect a man? You know,
Hmm.
so I really enjoy that, and I'm really looking forward to doing it because there'll be the continuation of the Ash and Red story, but there'll also be more flashbacks, like in the first part, where we get to see a bit more of Red in the days, weeks, and years after he became champion, and how those experiences molded him into the man that he is now.
Hmm. Yeah, that might be the most uh, character digging anyone has done with Red. So I really am looking forward to what you do with the story. I
It's
have to say I watched about 2 minutes of it because whenever I find a good story, I don't want to like exhaust it, and I want to like let at least three parts flow, or three parts come out, so I could just watch them in one flow. I have done that too many of the stories. I tried to do that to the lore keeper story, but that concept was just so interesting. I just had to watch it at the same time.
Oh, thank
But
you.
yeah, but I'm not going to exhaust what if Ash was red. What if Ash was trained by red at this point. I'm just going to let you release at least three parts, and I'm going to reserve it for a peaceful Sunday afternoon. So I hope
I'm
you don't mind me on that.
no problem. I'm hopeful that I haven't recorded part two yet, but I may do that at some point over this weekend. And who knows, that might be the next thing I put out. Either that, or maybe it'll be the 1K special, or I do have What If Ash Was Brandon's Son Part 4 recorded and mostly edited. So if I can't get Ash Trained by Red out for this week, that's what I'll put out. And then next week will be that. So hopefully, because people seem to like it so much, you won't have to wait too long for three parts.
Yeah, for sure. So with that, I think we would call this a wrap. We have
Awesome.
already we have already reviewed the Legends Arceus Pokédex, which once again, just our opinion. And again, I don't want to keep stating that it sounds like a broken record, but again, I know there will be some people who are just going to call us negative for some weird reason.
I
The
mean,
community is just like that sometimes. So again, uh, don't care what you say. For both of us, Samirot gets a massive down. Once
yeah,
again, I can't emphasize on that enough.
yeah. And
So
I mean, I think we liked more than we disliked, and
yeah,
the ones we liked, we
absolutely.
really liked. So
Yeah,
yeah, I think overall, I'd say on average, I would give the Hasuian forms a moderate to high up. How about you?
yeah. So the same with me. Like that's the point. Uh, of course, there were some mons. Again, I would give them some sort of like breathing room because we expected more from Samirot. We expected more
Yeah,
from some of the other mons, which turned out to be disappointing. So maybe it was just our over expectations. But again, I
maybe.
mean, come on, like the Samirot thing is just absolutely ridiculous. I mean, like how can you mess that up? So
I don't know.
that,
I
uh,
don't know. But I
so
mean,
that's yeah. Go on.
just Decidueye, at least they balanced it out. They dropped the ball with Samurott, but I think they delivered more than we expected with Decidueye. So
Yeah,
it evens out in the end.
yeah. It's not bad. Like except for some ones, of course. The
Yeah.
gameplay looks absolutely amazing. I
Oh, it
hope I could
is.
play it in the near future. It has some sort of open world feel to it, so I think that's great. You got Pokemon exhibiting some feral behaviors, so that's always an up. They're actually moving away from the regular gym format and moving towards something else.
Yeah,
And
the
now that they have
Wardens.
released the game, I can finally get to making the second part of What If Ash was born in Hisui region.
Yeah,
So
I'm really
that's
looking
always a
forward to that. Sorry.
yeah.
Sorry.
I
So
kind of thought that I cheated the line here because the game hadn't even come out yet, and I already made that part. But I was like kind of worried that someone else might make it, and like there is just like again no offense, and there is just like so little ideas at the time. So I
yeah,
thought that if someone did make it, there would be like nothing left for me to renovate, and I didn't want to like just copy of someone's original idea. So
yeah,
that's why I was a little bit rushed at making the what if, and I was really worried that when I told them that hey look, I released the first part, now you have to wait for the games to be released so I can release the second part once I have enough data. And I thought that people are going to get mad, but they were not. And so I had enough time to prepare the slides, and now that the games are released, make sure to look forward to part two of what if Ash was born in Hisui, and make sure to check Pickle Dill's What If Ash was Brandon's and part four, I think, and part two to What If Ash was trained by Red.
yeah. Those will be out in the next few weeks. They'll probably 1K special. And once I finish the game, I'm going to do something with Hisui. It won't be
Hmm.
quite the same as yours because I definitely don't want to copy yours, though I got to admit that it's good. So if I got to steal from someone, I might as well steal from someone good.
Yeah.
But yeah,
That's a compliment I didn't expect to receive anytime soon. So thank you.
yeah, I really enjoy your work. I mean, I loved your Dragon Clan series. That's actually why I paused my Lawkeeper series, because I'm like, this is really good. This is doing, Ash entrenched with Dragon Lore really well.
Mm.
Yes, I loved your Dragon Clan series. I said really enjoyed Ashbourne and Hisui. I'm looking forward to next part of that and next season of Dragon Clan.
Okay.
Yeah.
So with that, we will call it a wrap. It was a pleasure talking to you. Thank you so
Pleasure.
much for doing this.
Thank you for having
Let's
me.
just, yeah, absolutely an honor for me to have you. And let's just do this regular thing in the near
Yeah.
future.
Yeah, I'd love to do more with you in the future. Yeah. Thank you very
Yeah.
much. Yes.
Right. See you.
There.